What's up, guys? Man Cave Collectibles coming back at you today with a figure I'm really excited about. Kind of in the spirit of the times with the Spawn Kickstarter rolling, up and running right now. I wanted to take a look at the figure that really brought this Kickstarter to us, which is the very first figure that Todd McFarlane did in the McFarlane Toys line. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Todd McFarlane's toy line. So one thing we can see here is if we look up here in this corner, we can see that that says Todd Toys. So when he released this original figure, it was actually under the Todd Toys brand. So he created Todd Toys in 1994 for the purpose of producing his Spawn action figure collection. He said he basically wanted to maintain creative control, and to this day he's pretty much maintained that. Nobody else has really been able to get rights to Spawn. It's pretty much been McFarlane Toys doing it, but really on a rare occasion over the last 10 years. It's not been a toy that has really been put out, I guess, by his own choosing. This first set of figures that this Spawn toy was in, or what we would consider Wave 1, was released in 1994. It contains 6 figures. So the Spawn figure that we see in front of us, there was a variant of this that was an unmasked head. He had kind of the shoelace face. Also Medieval Spawn, the Clown, Violator, Overkill, and Trimmer. So those were the 6 that were in this original release. They did have the kind of exclusive comic book, full-size comic book in them. They call it a special edition comic book, which we can see here on the front of the page. So the figure right now is special to us, kind of as we said before, because it is the basis for the new Kickstarter program that he's running. He's taking this figure and basically doing a modern update. He's going to scale it up, do a modern update to the sculpt work, the paint work, and the articulation. So I will throw a link up above for a update video I did on that campaign if you're interested, or if you're a Spawn fan, I would definitely say check it out. So let's jump right on into the figure. So this figure has been in my attic for 15 to 20 years probably. I remember when I bought this, I bought it at a toy store locally. I want to say I might have paid 10 bucks for it maybe. Trying to see if there was a price tag. Yeah, here we go, $10.99. I paid for it. Up in my attic, I have a few boxes of very old action figures from the 90s and maybe even into the early 2000s that are still on card. And it kind of hit me the other day. I said, I think I have this Spawn figure somewhere in my collection. So I went on a hunt, went to the attic, and found this guy. He's actually in pretty decent shape considering he has been in a Rubbermaid container for that long. So we'll go ahead and take a look at him in his packaging first, and we'll bust him out of his package and take a look. So we can see our full-size comic there. Again, it is Todd Toys, Todd McFarlane's Spawn. It says he's got flying cape, has swing open action. So that is something that we're going to have in the new Kickstarter program figure. We're going to have that articulated cape. We can see a couple of accessories here. He's got a weapon, and that is his, not sure what you would call that, but it's what's going to connect his cape up here. We'll take a look at that. Spinning on around to the back, we have a picture basically of just the other figures in this wave that we talked about earlier. There's the 6 that we talked about. Looks like they even had a Spawn alley, a couple vehicles. Pretty cool. We got some instructions on how to put his weapon into his hand. He's got some chains around his waist that you can remove and use as chains in his hand, and then his articulated cape. So really simple. You know, when you look at these from the 90s, you know, I always felt like Todd was ahead of the game, especially with his later series Spawn figures that I've done a ton of reviews on. And we'll actually compare you know, kind of that size figure to this as well to give us a little better scale for maybe what this Kickstarter figure is going to look like as compared to this one. But let's go ahead and break him out of his package and take a good look at him. All right, guys, so we got Spawn out of his packaging. I have removed his cape because I want to talk a little bit about something there. It's very strange having such a small figure in hand. So the first thing we will look at here, we do have his, set him to the side. We do have his comic book here. This is the, you know, it's interesting. I didn't realize it, but the comic book is actually the back of the box there. So they kind of found a way to reuse that. This is, you know, again, this is just a exclusive to the actual figure, but it talks a little bit about Spawn. It tells a little bit about his past, kind of introduces some of the characters just real quickly and real briefly. But you have just that amazing Todd McFarlane artwork in there, which I think is the coolest part of that. So just having kind of that history, you know, is neat to have. It's not in very good condition because, you know, how I've been storing it. And, you know, these figures you typically are not going to be the, you know, the focal point of your collection. But here he is. We got Spawn. We'll take a quick look at just his articulation while he doesn't have the cape on. That'll make it easier. And I'll put up a comparison here from the Kickstarter campaign so you can look at what the articulation is going to look like on the new one. They're saying 20 plus points of articulation, where with this guy, we'll count them off as we do them. So with his head here, we can do a full 360, no up or down. So that's one. We got a full 360 on both arms. So that would be 2 and 3. We got no swivel in the waist, no chest articulation. We've got legs that will go forward, right, on both sides. No out. So that would be 4 and 5. Both knees have a single knee joint. 6 and 7. Nothing in the ankles. So that's it for articulation. So we got 7 points of articulation. So it wasn't really something they would advertise back then to say, hey, we got 7 points of articulation. So we were just happy to get figures in the mid-90s period, if you grew up in the 90s. So as far as what comes with him, we get kind of this holder for his cape. This will go on the front of his cape. We will put that on and show you what that's like. Got his weapon. And then we got his cape and a piece that goes with his cape here. So what actually ends up happening, and it's unfortunate what happened with mine as I was doing it, but this plastic is very old. This part would peg into this part. So you can see that mine broke off in his back. So that part, that's unfortunate. Not much I can do there, but this would actually hold his cape in place. We'll still be able to place his cape on him and get it to stay. But what I want to really show with this, and I think kind of what we're going to be seeing with that new figure, is this cape articulation. So how this cape can, you know, articulate and fully encompass the figure if you want it to. This right here, there's 2 little peg holes right here, and they're not going to be easy to get to, but you slide these in, if they will go, just like that, and that kind of holds his cape around his neck, gives it just more stability. But this is the articulation, so it's not a hinge. It's what it actually is it's actually just a thinner piece of plastic that kind of runs down that seam, and it allows it to go back and forth. Now, I could see that becoming an issue over time as well. Enough articulating of that, and you will, you know, probably have this plastic break down, especially being now the figure as old as it is. I think that plastic would break down over time. So that's just a quick breakdown of that figure and what he comes with. So I have another figure here from a Spawn line. This is actually in the same line. This is later down the road. Spawn was something Todd did for years. He continued to put out Spawn figures. So I'm looking at this Spawn and I'm kind of thinking, This is probably more in the scale that we're going to see. This is more like a 7-inch scale figure here. These were almost like statues, very limited articulation. You are able to, move the arms a little bit, but a lot of those movements, if you were to do them, it would break the mold. So I don't think that's going to be the way this new Kickstarter figure is going to be. I think it's going to be a fully articulated figure, not so much a statue like a lot of these older series Spawn statues / figures were. But we can see the difference here. Let's see if we can pull him off this and get an even better feel. All right, so we got him to stand here for us. So that gives us a little better feel for maybe the type of size we may be looking at with the Kickstarter figure. So, and this may even be just a hair small. If we look at the shot that is on the Kickstarter page, which I'll throw up here, we can see, kind of how that breakdown is going to be. But I think this is going to be very similar. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, like and subscribe. Feel free to comment. Would love to hear your thoughts on the new Kickstarter program. Are you supporting it? Are you not? Do you like the price? Is it fair? Is it not fair? If you are supporting it, which tier did you decide to support? I went with the 160. I want all 3 of the figures, the extra heads, the hands. I want it all. So let me know in the comments. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day.